If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. This is very important to see what they're doing now with trying to get people to comply to the digital ID. We all know about the digital ID. I've talked about it for a while. I want to thank a subscriber on the website, Florencia, who posts a lot of great stuff over there, for sharing this with me. I would probably have not seen it because this is in Nigeria and this doesn't make national news. Why doesn't it make national news? Because they don't want people to feel like they're going to get pressured into something like this. So they're going to test run it on places like Nigeria. They are taking away 73 million users' cell phones for not complying with digital ID. Now, I know a lot of you listening are going to say, well, I don't care. I don't want my cell phone. Well, that's fine and dandy, right? Because a lot of us don't need to live. We don't need our cell phones. Although, you know, they do come in handy, obviously, if you're trying to get in touch with a family member or somebody else, a spouse, right? So to say that we don't need it or that, you know, we're not used to having it in our lives is kind of, it's a stretch, but it's understandable. So people like us, we could survive without it. However, when you talk about 73 million people in Nigeria, do you know how many people are going to be pressured into taking the digital ID because one day without their cell phone, they're going to lose their minds? That's the point of this. It's like a squeeze. All right, we'll take this from you until you comply. We saw it with the magic potion, right? Think about how important people's cell phones are to them. And the digital ID is what they want. And eventually your digital ID is going to be implanted in you. It's going to be a part of you. And your phone number and all these things are things that they want to be a part of you. Your social security number, all these things will be inside of you. They will no longer be capable of being accessed from outside. They will be in. So Nigeria doing this is just another thing that we're seeing going on around the world because these countries are doing test runs with all of these types of experiments on the citizens. China, we see what's going on over there with the lockdowns with nothing going on. We see what's happened in Australia with the quarantining over this stuff. Now we see this with the mobile phones going on. I mean, it's everywhere. We see in America right now them destroying our food all over the place. Food supplies, excuse after excuse, no fertilizer, trains are short, too much congestion on the train tracks. Airplanes falling out of the sky, flying into food processing plants. The odds of that are 1 in a quadzillion of actually happening, let alone multiple planes doing it. But, you know, this is the government turning on its people. So the government in Nigeria says the crackdown will boost security and stop crime, but rural and poor citizens are cut off from family and business contacts. Constance Chioma calls her son every morning to check that he is safe, studying in northeast Nigeria, a region plagued by deadly attacks by Islamist insurgents and armed kidnappings. Earlier this month, she could not get through. She later realized her SIM card was one of about 73 million, more than a third of the 198 million in Nigeria, which have been barred from making outgoing calls because they have not been registered in the National Digital Identity Database. This is coming to America soon. This is coming to the UK soon. This is coming to us. This is coming everywhere. Everywhere, the digital ID. And that's where the magic potion ties in, because you're not going to be able to have a digital ID, of course, unless you have the potion. All of these things are going to tie together. You're going to see them like a water flowing or dominoes falling. One by one, you're going to say, wow, look at all these things connected to this digital identity. And total control, because it's a system of total control. Think about 1/3 of the U.S. Could you imagine if they cut cell phones from 1/3 of the U.S.? Imagine if they cut, like if you live in an apartment building, imagine your whole floor didn't have a cell phone except you. You don't think you'd see chaos out in the hallways? You don't think people, if they found out that you had a working phone, would be pounding on your door to use your phone? The same way when the grid goes down, they'll be pounding on people's doors if they have generators that are actually working, which probably won't be with an EMP, but say it's just a grid shutdown and maybe there's still natural gas or propane, then maybe they'll be pounding on their doors, or somebody who they know has food. It's the same exact thing. They're going to cause mass chaos. Cutting people off from cell phones is going to cause mass chaos, as crazy as that sounds. There is no object in these zombies' life right now day-to-day life more important to them than a cell phone. I've been saying it for at least 10 years, the last 10 years. On YouTube, as long as I've been on here the last 6 years, about the cell phone. You take a cell phone away from one of these millennials, they go werewolf. They will put their heads through walls. They will punch walls. They will have spasms over this. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen a relative who had their cell phone taken away like 8 years ago. Or, they dropped the cell phone in the toilet. The phone didn't work, and it was the nighttime, and they couldn't get to a Verizon or whatever it was, AT&T carrier, and went nuts and waited for the sun to come up to go get the new phone as if the world had ended for a temporary period of time. That's what it's going to be like. So this is how they force people to go into what they want. We take away your toys, the most important toy for the zombie, the phone. Go get your digital ID and you can have it back. And these people will go and they will comply. They'll say, oh, it's okay. Nothing here makes me think it's the mark or anything. Oh, it's fine. I'll give up all my personal privacy, my personal rights to the government, who, if you can't tell right now that the governments have no interest in the civilians and the citizens, then you don't have a brain in your head. Because everything that's going on, it is so obvious to see it's not what they say it's going on, that it's just an attack on the citizens of the world and about total control, globalism, a new world order. And these idiots still think that there's stuff, oh, it's this, oh, it's Russia, oh, and they make excuse after excuse after excuse. And then when all this does go down and phones are pulled, and they force people into this stuff, they'll still think it's whatever the government tells them. They'll still think that, if something happens in America with a grid shutdown, they'll still blame it on Russia. They won't think that their own government's doing it. To them, where they have a president who's acting, even though the guy probably is completely not there, but it's done on purpose. He was put in the position to be a bumbling fool. Don't be surprised if he's out of power soon and they do a fake passing. So they have the other bumbling fool, a female, supposed female, Kamala Harris, so that they have an excuse to do an attack here when it's really your own government doing it to citizens again, so they can reset everything. Back to the story here about the phones. So more than 73 million people out of 198 million. So 73 out of 198 million without cell phones. I could not concentrate at work, one person says. I was uneasy and constantly asking myself about my son and if he was safe. With the rising insecurity in the north, not speaking with my son makes me afraid. So they're using those types of tactics as well. Oh, there's stuff, you won't be able to get a hold of your mom. Get your digital ID now, and we'll give it back to you. Instead of saying, you know what, you're supposed to be working for us, government. Okay, well, now we're going to throw you out of power. We're not going to comply with your government. But see, this is the unfortunate thing about it, is they've done everything they can to de-arm citizens, which the only reason that people want to be armed is to protect themselves from tyrant governments. But in reality, they try to do everything they possibly can to create a fake reality. So people think that people who have guns just want to go to schools and malls and do things that they make up, that the CIA creates, so that there's the illusion of these people. I mean, it's such an easy operation to figure out when you see how these lowlifes operate. But unfortunately, we live amongst many, many stupid people. So the national identity number, the NIN, is required to open a bank account, apply for a driver's license, vote, get health insurance, and file tax returns. So, of course, they can use that against you, because if you don't file tax returns, I believe it's a crime not to file your taxes as opposed to paying your taxes, which is another story. But they can do things like that and try to force you into, oh, you're going to go to jail. So pretty much if you don't get your digital ID, you can go to jail. I mean, that's not tyranny. I mean, what do you think this is here? Are people that dumb? You can't have a driver's license? I mean, the vote thing is the funniest part of it all. You can't vote. Oh, as if your vote actually counts, when these people are just keeping themselves in power. They've infiltrated every form of government and now run and control it. But in 2020, Nigeria's telecommunications regulator said every active mobile number must be linked to the user's NIN. It repeatedly extended the deadline until March 31st this year. The government said outgoing calls were being barred from April 4th from any mobile phone numbers that had not complied. So, again, your phone number is going to be your personal ID code, right? It's going to be a part of you. I mean, like I said a couple videos ago, I was talking about how people, their phone numbers, they don't want to get new numbers. If you tell somebody they got to get a number, they freak out, which is crazy to me, because what's the big deal? Nobody even memorizes anybody else's number, right? You just put it in the phone and then it just says, mom. Maybe you have your mom's number memorized, but you don't have, a guy you meet at the grocery store, the mall. I don't know. Where do people meet these days? I guess apparently they don't, but, pick them up at the bar, you pick a girl up you get the point. The number, though, is so important to these people. It's more important than their social security number at this point. It is like their new personal barcode. So millions of Nigerians have not registered for their SIM cards for reasons, registered their SIM cards, for reasons ranging from concerns over privacy to problems reaching registration centers or not having an NIN. There have been no reasonable explanations as to why we have to link NIN to our SIM cards. Well, I'll tell you the reasonable explanation is that they want total control over you. Your personal ID card, mark, all of this stuff put together. This is about control. That's all it's about. They said, for that reason, I'm not ready to do it, said one citizen. Well, you will be ready to do it because the longer this rages on, you're going to give in and you're going to conform, just like people did with the magic potion. They took 2 years to do all that stuff to get enough people to continue to just smoking them out, grinding them down. You're going to lose your job. All right, I'll go get it. Be the same with this. 6 months go by, mom hasn't talked to her son. She goes, I can't take it anymore. I got to talk to my son. Give me the personal ID card. That's what they do. We have lunatics. We have, people think of psychopaths and mass murderers. They think of these CIA operatives, these Manchurian candidates like Dahmer and Bundy. The real psychopaths are your leaders of your governments who were not elected, who put themselves in these positions via secret societies and other ways that they are put in these positions. World Economic Forum, all of these organizations that have worked together to get their people in these positions to take control. And that's what's happening right now. So in Nigeria, this is what they're doing to their citizens. This is coming to America. This is coming to other countries. They're going to take your phone. And again, I know a lot of you will go, well, I don't care. I don't want my phone. I understand that. But this isn't just about me and you. This is about everyone. Right? We're supposed to care about all of our fellow man. I mean, I'm doing this because I'm trying to wake other people up. This is your government doing this to other people. The other people are going to comply because they're going to get smoked out. They're weak. There's a reason that they're making society weak and sensitive and crybabies who complain and tattle on each other, can't take name calling. There's a reason they don't say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me anymore. Because they want to make people weak. So the weaker people are, the more likely they are to comply. They don't stand up for themselves. They don't have backbones. They don't fight back against government. That's the whole point of all this stuff, the bullying movement. We have a society of weak cupcakes. Very few men left, most of whom are probably listening to this channel. Don't fall into the trap of letting your government bully you into taking something or doing something you don't want. We just saw it with the potion. Nigeria is seeing it with the phone, and you're going to see that here. Imagine Nigeria. Imagine in America with the cell phones. Whatever country you're listening to this from, there is no country dumber and more dependent on their cell phones than this country. You can't even go to a rest stop on a highway to go take a leak and walk inside without people bumbling around on their phones. People are peeing at urinals on their phones. Peeing. Because they can't put the phone down for 5 seconds. They're walking to their cars, walking in front of cars to get to their car. 10 feet need to be on the phone texting. They're driving down highways, texting, swerving worse than an alcoholic or a drunk driver or somebody on crack. So just imagine when they say, we're going to pull your phone from you unless you do what we say and you comply. And the magic potion will be a part of that. You can guarantee it. A reminder, check out the website at callforuprising.com. Great stuff like this is being shared over there so you don't miss out on what's going on. Real news, actual information from people like you and me who are seeing it and sharing it with each other, where platforms like this are censoring it. So check out the website if you haven't. It's definitely worth the $2.99 just for the forum itself, and there's exclusive content over there as well. I hope to see everybody over there. I want to thank you, thank the Patreons and everyone out there for your support. Hope you're doing well. God bless you and your families.